In today's video, we're tackling the big question on everyone's lips. Has Hollywood taken creative liberty too far? From drastically altered storylines to casting choices that defy expectations, we're uncovering the good, the bad, and the downright controversial of the industry's latest projects. Hear about the audacious statements from the stars themselves, the fan reactions that range from dismay to outright boycotts, and the critical responses that have set the internet ablaze. We're starting with two big-screen adaptations that have been creating quite the stir: the modern take on Snow White and the Hunger Games prequel, The Ballad of Snakes and Songbirds. At the heart of these movies is Rachel Zegler, a rising star cast in pivotal roles for both films. Rachel stepped into the spotlight with expectations sky high. Fans were buzzing with anticipation, curious to see how these beloved stories would be reimagined for a new era. The stage was set, the lights were bright, and everyone was waiting to see what magic Rachel Zegler would bring to these timeless tales. Now, on to Rachel's vision for Snow White. Rachel wasn't just stepping into a role, she was shaking up a classic. Her take? It's time to leave the old damsel in distress in the past. In her eyes, Snow White needed a modern makeover, one where being rescued by a prince isn't the endgame. Rachel wanted to paint Snow White not just as a character in a fairy tale, but as a figure of leadership and empowerment. She envisioned a character who isn't waiting for a prince to change her fate, but someone who takes charge of her own story. Now, how did it land with the fans? Well, it was a mix. While some applauded the modern twist, others weren't so thrilled. It turns out, messing with a classic can be pretty polarizing. Adding fuel to the fire, Rachel's admission that she wasn't exactly a die-hard fan of the original Snow White raised eyebrows. For some fans, this was a red flag. They questioned, how could someone reshape a story they weren't deeply connected with? This revelation stirred a pot of mixed feelings, excitement for some, skepticism for others. Next up is The Ballad of Snakes and Songbirds, a new chapter in the Hunger Games saga. This wasn't just any movie. It was an addition to a blockbuster series, and expectations were sky high. Enter Rachel Zegler as Lucy Gray, a character worlds apart from Jennifer Lawrence's iconic Katniss. Fans were curious if Rachel could fill such big shoes. Jennifer had set the bar high with her portrayal of Katniss, a character etched in the hearts of millions. Now it was Rachel's turn to step into this universe, sparking a blend of excitement and, yes, a bit of skepticism. When The Ballad of Snakes and Songbirds hit the theaters, the response was, let's say, less than stellar. Critics weren't shy about their opinions, and the box office numbers told a similar story. This installment didn't quite capture the magic of its predecessors, falling short of the high standards set by earlier Hunger Games films. In terms of dollars and cents, it couldn't keep pace. Previous Hunger Games movies had set the bar with blockbuster openings, but this one? It struggled to match up, bringing in numbers that were a far cry from the franchise's heyday. Rachel's journey to these roles wasn't just a career move, it was personal. She grew up with the Hunger Games books, immersing herself in their world. These stories weren't just pages to her, they were a part of her imagination, her dreams. Her inspiration didn't stop at books. Films like Inside Llewyn Davis played a big role, especially Oscar Isaac's performance. Seeing a Latino actor excel without being stereotyped inspired her. She wanted to bring that level of authenticity and depth to her roles, breaking barriers just like her idols. Expectations were sky high for these adaptations, but reality had other plans. The vision was grand, yet the outcome didn't quite align. Fans expected a fresh yet faithful take, but what unfolded was a mix of surprise and disappointment, a clear case of expectation versus reality. These ripples in Hollywood's pond could be a game changer. Such controversies might lead studios to rethink their approach to adaptations and casting, possibly steering future projects with a more cautious hand. Did these adaptations hit the mark, or did they miss a step? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's keep the conversation going.